Bear on Bears fans, we've been so focused on the OC position, gotta talk about the DC position. The Chicago Bears are looking to interview former Chicago Bears safety Chris Harris for their defensive coordinator position. What could he bring to this defense? We'll talk about all that and more in today's episode of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. Let's go. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talk Chicago sports, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So Chris Harris is a name that Chicago Bears are looking at the DC position. It's very interesting, right? All the OC talk. We kind of haven't spoken at all about the defensive coordinator position, and honestly haven't even worried about it a ton because of what Matt Eberflus was able to do as the DC of this team. But he's looking to go back to being the CEO of the Chicago Bears team as a whole, right? And so what does that mean for that defensive coordinator position? Well, Tom Pelissero reporting that Titans defensive pass game coordinator slash cornerbacks coach Chris Harris will interview for the Bears defensive coordinator job, a one-time Bears draft pick who became a highly respected player in Chicago. Harris also has interviewed for the Jaguars DC job this past week. And Chris Harris has really made his way around the NFL and really made a little bit of a name for himself as a coach, right? He was a defensive quality controls coach here in 2013 and 14 in San Diego and Los Angeles. He was assistant DBs coach. So, you know, he's doing a great job with the DBs because we've seen some good DBs come out of LA. Washington football team, he was a DBs coach. Again, seeing some really good DBs come out of there between 2020 and 2022, and Titans cornerbacks coach and defensive pass game coordinator. So slowly working up the ranks. And to me, he's a really good name to put into the mix in all of this because of the mindset that comes with a player who was a part of that 05-06 team, right? Like that was a team where you looked at that Chicago Bears, and by 07, right, I believe right after the Super Bowl year was the year he ends up leaving. He goes to Carolina. He was a 6th-round pick for the Bears, so had a little bit of time here, but being able to work in with that defense, being able to get kind of a taste of what the mindset of that team was, is something the Chicago Bears team is missing, and it's a reason that I would be intrigued by it. The one thing that I'm looking for from a defensive coordinator is somebody who's going to take Flus's system, a system that we know, right? Chris Harris is going to know. He's played in it. He's been a part of it. 2 years in the system, at least, he's been a part of it. And you look at him and say, okay, so you're coming in already knowing how to run the 4-3. You've seen it as an aggressive 4-3 the year that you end up going to the Super Bowl. How is that going to work for you moving forward, right? Because when Chico was here, Lance told us on the Chicago Bears podcast that he ran a much more aggressive style. And to me, I think that is kind of what this Bears team is missing. Listen, they can play defense all day, but there's just still too much of a passive mindset with this team that having Matt Eberflus be a part of this team makes me uncomfortable with. There's an incredibly passive mindset on when to attack. There's an incredibly passive mindset on, okay, things aren't going our way. Now we're just going to play back and try and keep everything in front of us. And I don't think that that's ever the recipe for success. I don't think that's ever the recipe for you to go out there and win, because when you're too passive, you allow teams to get away with so much stuff. And then all of a sudden you're sitting here talking about, oh man, how'd they get back in the game? Well, we played back for the entire second half because we felt like a 28-point lead was going to be enough. I say all that to say, I think that Chris Harris could be somebody who possibly comes in here and brings that old 06, 07 mindset to the Chicago Bears where, okay, yeah, we're going to be a lot more aggressive. We're going to attack a lot more, and we're going to make sure that our guys are in a position to do well. You pair that up, just that mindset up with how Flus called this defense last season and kind of allow those two to work together in that. I think that this could be a defense that we're talking about being really successful for a really, really long time and starting to turn the tide on the future of this team. Now, I would like to know how you guys feel about the hire of Chris Harris. If the Bears were to do so, let me know in the comments below. I'll be down to talk with you guys as well. At a minimum, right? Like, I think here's the interesting part. There is there seems to be a lack of having that former Bears mindset in the building, especially from our successful teams. Right? Like, it's not like we have a million teams to choose from that we could go out there and just pick these. Like, we're talking about like 85, and then we're talking about 05, and then we're talking about 13, and we're talking about 18, right? Like, and the guys from 18 are still playing. But there seems to be a lack of this former Bears mindset that we hear weekly over on the Bears podcast, that we hear on multiple shows on the radio, that you hear over on 670, over on ESPN, that you hear all over the place, of these former Bears who say, listen, there's just too much of a lackadaisical mindset in this team. And realistically speaking, that's not going to get the job done. Even when the Bears are winning, they still say the preparation seems like it's not all the way there. The play on the field tells you that they're not aggressive enough. Lance Briggs talked about it all season, talked about how they're playing back too often. They're giving wide receivers way too much opportunity to make plays in front of you, and then the possibility of them becoming a big play happens because you're giving them way too much time and way too much room to be able to operate. I love the fact that we're getting a former DB in the building that was a part of a defense that wasn't a believer in that, and I'd be really excited to see what he'd be able to bring to this team in the long run. I like the fact that we're starting here. This is how I feel about it at a minimum. We're starting with good names, and that excites me. When you're sitting here starting with names like a Chris Harris, who clearly has worked his way up through the ranks, former Bear, like I said, all the things that I've listed that I like about the name. To me, what we've seen on the offensive side, if we see that happen on the defensive side as well, where the names just keep getting bigger and better and better and better and better, I'm excited to see what that's going to end up being by the end of the day. Maybe Chris Harris is the best candidate, but maybe not. Maybe we bring in somebody who is more of a big name for this. I still think I would love to see Chico Rivera coming back and being a part of this team. I still think he's the best defensive coordinator name on the list. Now, is he going to take a DC job? Maybe, right? To me, maybe, right? Like, I think maybe you got to take a step back. Failed experiment out in Washington, didn't work for you. I think he's probably the best name that could possibly be available. Don't know if he is available or not. Don't know if he's still interviewing for head coaching positions, things like that. But that's where it would start for me. But, right, you're starting here with Chris Harris. You're going up to the next name. I think that you can only get better from here. And again, I feel like the Bears are looking in the right spot for this, because you're starting off with somebody who's from an aggressive defensive mindset, who has been a part of aggressive defenses in his time as a coach. Will he continue that here in Chicago if you were to bring him in? I think that you're just looking in the right places. You're lifting all the right stones. And if you lift enough of the right stones, you end up finding what you're looking for. And I think that to me personally, that's what gets me excited about getting the right mix of coaches in here heading into next season. But as always, man, I do want to know how you guys feel. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down and talking with you as well. Are you a fan of the Chicago Bears interviewing Chris Harris for the defensive coordinator position? Should they hire him? I'll be down and talking with you guys. As always, it's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again to continue watching our Chicago Bears content. Click the links on the screen and check the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. Peace.